What is up, America? This is Circus Toons, and welcome to the circus. So, tonight I'm going to be giving you guys a video about a cartoon that I've been wanting to do a video about for quite some time now. And that cartoon is called Blank Slate. Now, this is my own cartoon. I've been drawing for it and writing for it for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And the narrative that this cartoon follows by, and I will get into the characters and their characteristics and character traits after the basic premise and narrative of the show. So, Natalie moves her two teens into a new house after their father and her husband die in a car crash. Aurthor Brenner, that's her husband and their father. After he dies in a car crash, they have a very hard time getting over it, and in order to get over it, Natalie decides to move them into a new house and start a new life, or in other words, a blank slate. Now, just the main narrative of this show and the name is the whole kernel of not only where the stories come from and what the stories are centered around, but it's also where a lot of the comedy comes from, because all comedy needs a little bit of tragedy in order to really work, or at least in my opinion. So there's a bit of tragedy in the comedy, but that to me is what makes the show funny. I mean, it's dark, but it's what makes the show funny. So, yeah, the basic premise of the show is that Natalie moves her two teens, Nathan and April, into a new house after Aurthor Brenner, her husband, and their father die in a car crash. That being said, once they move into this new house, they start this new life. They start a blank slate, and begin experiencing and dealing with all sorts of different kind of situations and adventures, going from political issues to economic to social issues to just overall real world problems. Sometimes a surreal take on those real world problems. Now, the characters. This right here is the divorced mother, Natalie Brenner. This right here is the youngest daughter, 16 years old, April Brenner. And then this right here is the oldest son, 17 years old, Nathanbrenner. This is the Brenner family. Now, okay, so the characters. Now, I'm going to give kind of just choppy descriptions of their character traits or personalities, but I'm going to try to make it thorough, though. So here is Natalie Brenner, or Natalie Rosemary Brenner, if you want me to give you her full name. She is very, very driven, and she's very passionate and creative. She is always excited to get up for her news anchor job every single morning. She loves doing it. She loves getting up in front of the camera and talking about real world problems and talking about what's going on in day-to-day life. And she feels like when she's talking about the news or when she's reporting it, she feels like she's helping people. And she absolutely loves this, along with taking care of her two teens, Nathan and April. But Nathan and April obviously are her first passion in life. She loves giving them all sorts of life advice and morals, and she really, really wants to, her main goal in life is to raise her children to be very moral and productive citizens. Although she feels sad about one and kind of sometimes depressed about it, but she's a very strong individual. She's a second favorite character in the show for me. So, yeah, creative, passionate, and very driven, or in other words, tenacious. I love it. She loves cooking, Like there's one episode where she gets into cooking and she gets very, very passionate about it. She loves she loves the idea, and she says it in the episode, of making her own. She likes creating her own world out of her meals. She feels like there's a whole nother world in her meals, and that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know why. It's kind of interesting. But she also feels like there's a whole nother world in the news. So now Nathanbrenner. Nathan is a very organized individual. Although Nathan's looks and his hair is based off how I used to look, 2 or 3 years ago. You can look on my driver's license. His personality traits are nothing like mine. Absolutely nothing. He's very organized. He loves having calendars above his bed so he knows what he's doing the next day. He likes making sticky notes of like when to set out his clothes for school, very methodical. But he's also sometimes hard on himself, while at the same time also at times not taking himself too seriously. But there's times where he's a little hard on himself. He has a hard time understanding the idea that you can't save everyone. Like, you can't save everyone. You can't protect everyone. And he has a hard time understanding that. But there's times where he just likes to mess with his little sister. He likes just to make jokes. He's actually a really fun character. He's really fun. He loves his little sister to death. He's always trying to get her on the right path. He's always hoping. Although he gets a little down on it sometimes. He gets a little down on the fact that he doesn't feel like his sister's going in the right direction, and he really, really wants her to, and he feels like she's going down the wrong path in life, and sometimes he gets really despondent about it, thinking it's his fault. So, anyways, there you go. But he also has a very heroic kind of thing to him. He wants to save everyone. He wants to protect everyone, but he figures out the hard way in an episode, I think is 104, the spring shooting episode, that you can't be there for everyone. So April Brenner, she is an interesting one. Her origin is probably one of my favorite. So the origin of her character and how I ended up making her was, she came from some of the females in the world, only some, not all females are like this, but some of the females in the world that are self-aware of their own beauty to the point where they are inconsiderate about other people. She thinks there's no consequences for how she treats people or what she says to people. She can talk crap about her friends. She can talk crap to her family because she's pretty. She's a female. She looks gorgeous, so she doesn't have to treat you with any respect. She doesn't have to give you anything. She can do whatever she wants, and there's no consequences. And she really, truly believes that. But if I had to describe April in one way, it would be self-destructive. She is one of the most self-destructive characters in the show. She does not care what she has to do to get what she wants. She does not care. She will literally get shot in the arm by a police officer just to get what she wants. Does not care. She will put herself in the hospital to get what she wants, even if it's food. If it's trying to get off of school. There's one episode where she literally breaks her own leg just to get out of school. Literally, like, that desperate. She gets that desperate. She actually breaks her own leg to get out of school. She usually gets kicks off of manipulating people at school and getting people in trouble, although it usually backfires on her. She's constantly ruining family vacations for her family. Yeah. She's always a jerk to people that have crushes on her. She's a manipulator to the highest degree. She is a narcissist. She is narcissistic as heck. There's one episode called How I Met Kyle, right? This is first season. And in this episode, she literally, like, this whole episode is about her and her going through the various stages of narcissism, putting Kyle through those stages. You know, love bombing him at the beginning, saying that he's the best ever, no one's like you, all that kind of stuff, and then going into the discarding phase. I used to know that so well off the top of my head. I don't really remember it anymore. But anyways, I wrote that whole episode. I finished the whole episode, and that whole episode is about narcissism and how narcissistic April is. But her good qualities are that she really, really, really loves and respects Nathan, because she feels like Nathan is the only person that really puts her in her place when she really needs to be put in her place, and she feels like no one has the balls to actually discipline her or say when she's wrong, and that's all she's looking for. She's just looking for someone to say that she's wrong or discipline her, and she doesn't get that, but Nathan's the only one that does it. So through the series, as the series progresses, you'll see April actually being more, like, incrementally more and more kind to Nathan. It's really, really cool. So you'll start liking, I can promise you this, she's a character you'll start liking more and more through the show. So, yeah. Once the show gets on the air, just keep watching. It gets, she gets better as a character. Now, Adam Baker. So this is Nathanbrenner's best friend. Adam Baker in like just a pupil version is a very, very, very calm and self-controlled character. He is very, very calm in the most horrifying situations, which is very, very cool. And he's also very loyal to Nathan. There has been times where Nathan has messed up, has been a jerk to him, and Adam has no hesitation whatsoever just to call him up and talk it out. I gotta say, one of my most respected characters in the show is Adam Baker. I love this character. Much respect, because not a lot of people have the balls to do what he does in the show, calling his best friend up and trying to work things out. So the loyalty, self-control, and calm nature of Adam is what I love. Anyways, but my favorite character, my number one, is April, just because I love writing for a person that is more messed up and more toxic than me, which I've had my toxic moments, but I just like writing for a character that's more messed up than I am. I just feel it's really funny. Anyways, that is Blank Slate, and that is the characters and the character traits and just the kernel narrative of the whole show. I hope you guys liked it. I enjoyed making this video. I've been wanting to make this for quite some time now, so I hope you have a good night, and welcome to the circus.